Hubad allows you to train throughout almost your entire life because it allows you to adjust the level to which you play at, right? So now it goes here and then back in. At any point in time, like I could go back to the punches or go back to my open or closed knife hands, right? And then at some point in time, I can throw that elbow at him. And we're back to playing this game. Let's do it.
Can I ask you a question?
Please.
What's your thoughts on where you're making contact along her form? Why and where? Like,
That's a big question.
you can give me the full answer later on the phone.
Oh, no, you asked right in front of everybody. So now they're like, what's the answer? Well, it's like, I know. When I teach you, okay, you're going to get a crash course in Hubad. This is going to eat up all your time. Okay, ready? So we're going to start with the open Hubad. This is where I like to start. This is the most common. There's kind of two common places people start learning Hubad from. Open Hubad is for where I first started learning it from, so that's where I teach it from. But also you have, what I first learned is punch for punch, which is actually just center Hubad, right? I'm just feeding center. So we call this open Hubad because I'm coming from an open line. Does that make sense? An open line, okay? This is center Hubad because this is coming from a center line. Now, these are my terms that I use for teaching my people. You can go to somebody else, they might use teach the same thing using different terms. These are not globally universal terms. These are terms that I use to make it easier to understand things. Okay? So I just refer to this as open. I refer to this as center. And then we also have closed, which just looks like hak and sut repeated. Does that make sense? All right, so that gives us center, open, closed. Now when you start to say, well, what part of the arm am I connecting to in Hubad, you have to say, well, which angle are we talking about? So you were asking about the center, okay? In center Hubad, there's a lot of options right here. So number one is I do like to teach, like you said, I like to climb up the arm. I like to start at the wrist and go to the forearm and go closer to the elbow. I like that. Boop, boop, boop. That's excellent. But it's the way in which we do that. Right? So I might just pass slightly. I might catch on top. I might kind of like hook it down. Right? I might bash in. Right? I might more vertical gunting and come up. I might more horizontal gunting and come up. So it'd be like 1, 2, 3. Yeah, it's a harder one. Right? So those are all different ideas. And then we start talking about the inside of the arm. Yeah, because then we get like the guntings where we go to the inside. And with that, like I can go to the bicep. I can go to the bottom side of the elbow. I can go top side of the elbow. Yeah. Right, so there's like all sorts of things. And then from here, you start to connect elbow Hubad, right? So it's what they call siko. Siko is just the word for elbow. And so here we start to play it this method. But when you play it this method, you also have this here. You have the vertical elbow, right? Once you have that vertical elbow, and you start to say, well, I'm going to put this shot in here before I go to my vertical elbow. And especially if you're playing with knife, you can see how like that's important. And if you understand that, then we can start to go 1 and then 2 and then 3 and put it in. Now, where's my Naihanchi guys? Who was I talking to about Naihanchi earlier? Right. Elbow. Same idea. There's the 1. There's the 2. Oh, I cheated. I threw an extra one in. Did you see that?
I felt it.
Dang it. Sorry, I was trying to just get to the elbow. So then from here, if you wanted to, you can like uppercut to here, which is always a fun one. And then if I uppercut, I can still add the elbow in. Yeah. Woo! And now we're bumping. Oh, so you get that shot, that shot, that shot, that shot. So when you talk about like where do the hands land, right? And then you got up underneath. And if I go underneath, I can pull them so I can feed the elbow. Yeah, nice. Right? So now it goes here and then back in. At any point in time, like I could go back to the punches or go back to my open or closed knife hands. Right? And then at some point in time, I can throw that elbow at him. And we're back to playing this game. And that's just the empty hand Hubad. Now, what we didn't get into, like, we didn't start to get into the arm drags. right? We didn't really start to get into like the knee strikes. We didn't really start to get into like the Silat. That's another big part of it. There's a lot of places you can go. Also, Hubad's really good because like with Hubad, you can use this immediately. So like going into your double legs and your clinch work. I love Hubad. Hubad is such a fantastic platform for learning how to make all the arts like intersect, right? Because what you're really looking at is you're looking at developing reflex, and you're also looking at connecting to reference points, right? Because just from the open Hubad alone, let's take something as simple as like a foot sweep, okay? I have one reference point. I have two reference points. I have three reference points. I have four reference points, right? 1, 2, 3, and 4. All right, so it becomes, can I find that foot sweep off the first reference point? Can I find that foot sweep off the second reference point? Can I find that foot sweep off the third reference point? Can I find that foot sweep off the fourth reference point? Does that make sense? And then you do that with everything you do, right? You take any one of your techniques and say, can I find this one technique from all four reference points? And it starts to build and get bigger and bigger, and pretty soon it goes from being a Filipino concept to something you can use in almost every single art you do. And that's one of the reasons I love Filipino martial arts. I love Kali because I think Kali is, as you train, you're gonna, if you do it right, you're gonna get older, right? And as you get older, you start to discover the things your body can and can't do. Hubad allows you to train throughout almost your entire life because it allows you to adjust the level to which you play at. It allows you to adjust the level of contestment that you want to play at. It allows you to work on speed, most definitely. It allows you to work on those reflexes. It allows you to just pick stuff up when it's coming from different angles. It allows you to develop feeling, and it connects to anything else you do. That's the beauty of it. That's the beauty of it. And so when I look at Filipino martial arts, I see, there's empty hand. There's all these different weapons. There's clinching and grappling, which they call dumog. Like there's all sorts of stuff you can do, but they can train it at different stages of their life. Jiu-Jitsu, you got to train it a certain way to do it your whole life. Muay Thai, you got to train it a certain way to do it your whole life, or it'll break you down, right? Your body can age out of that, yes, no? Yes, Hubad is something that allows us to play at any age and keep us sharp. So I think it's a vitally important part of your training. I talked way too long on that. Now you got to go do all that stuff with the knife. You only get 2 minutes, so we can still take a water break. Go do it.